Yeah, you gotta really dig Patrick Swayze. I mean, wow. I mean, what a dude that had talent and just, and I don't care what anyone says. That dance scene is just freaking fantastic. Great love movie anyway, Dirty Dancing, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's ever seen that movie. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of like, into the dance groove today, which is kind of cool because if you're dancing, it's hard to be sad. Really. I mean, I haven't seen many sad dancers. And of course, the body gets into it. It's good cardio, uh, good therapy for the mind. And, if you got a great song like that, hey, well, Jennifer Grey, I mean, she was a cutie, wasn't she? Well, anyway, hello everybody. It is Thursdays, whatever you want to say. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Seriously, it's more fun when everyone joins in. If you're just on the solo thing, all right, there's a place, time for that. But I've often found it's always funner if you got more inner. You know what I'm saying? So, hello, Ginger. How you doing? Love the email, hon. Get back to you on that. You looked fabulous there on St. Patrick's Day. That's all I got to say. Much love to you, darling, and all the rest of all you beautiful people there in the chat room. Grace, how you doing, dear? Good to see you. Mary Wins, much love to you, darling. Lost in space, right back at you. Speaking favor to you, speaking favor to you, to you, to you, to you. Yeah, speaking favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. That's peace. Yeah, if paradise does exist, it exists within that construct. Rick, how you doing, brother? How you feeling these days? Good? I'm looking for a good report on that. Kent, what's happening? Good to see you, manifesting Annie. I love that. Annie, when I see that your handle there always reminds me of Avenging Angie. Y'all remember that song, right? Yeah. The guy had a one-hit wonder, but yeah. I don't know what it was about that song too. It was I don't know if it was the high pitch of his voice or just the tremendous, piano as it comes in. I don't know. Deborah, what's up, brother? Sister? I had two things going on my head at the same time. I really am smart. But anyway, to everybody else, if I've missed you, it wasn't by purpose or design. Dave, hello, Jackie. And Stephanie Marie, good to see you, darling. Emperor Rex, how are you? As I scroll back and try to make sure. Gilbert, good to see you, brother. Um, anyway, there we go. Here's a thing. By the way, I don't know if you saw this, but I always like to help out where, if I can. Um, so let me pull this up and let me get myself back here. So Chloe is having a GoFundMe, and as you can see, she's almost there. 29 dollars. Great number, Chloe. So I've left the link in the chat room link. But yeah. So Chloe, I have a sense I'm going to be a psychic here. I predict you're going to go up and over. Yeah, that's my prediction. It's on the record now. But yeah, so if you are inclined to sow a little prosperity into someone else's life, a seed never returns just a seed. It's always a bunch more. It can be a few or it can be overwhelming. So, Chloe, and thank you, Joshua. Mr. Floyd's Universe. Thank you for putting this up. And so there you go, Chloe. Let us know. I have a sense that this will be going over the chart. And hey, I'm excited about it. Yeah, I'm a psychic. You're psychic. We're psychic. We're all psychic. Hello, Lady Ellie. Good to see you, dear. Um, Robert McKenzie, karma is real. Yeah, that's what they say. Um, we're going to talk about that because it really does get into that. So, anyway, I got my notes here scattered about. Have you thought about this? So, I'm reading this book last night, and it's theological, the whole busting the Adam and Eve myth. And it's quite astonishing when you think about it that that myth, that story, that spell is so powerful that virtually all of humanity knows about Adam and Eve in one sense of the word. It's weird. So anyway, I'm reading this and I'm reading the commentary of the author. And Lynn and I had just had a really deep discussion on the soul. I mean, where does the soul reside? You know, how do you distinguish, like we read yesterday in the debate, um, mind, thought, consciousness, different states of consciousness, and where does the soul come in? And then it gets even more complicated because if you take the writings, for instance, we're talking in this case Genesis 2, 7 through 9, um, we're left with a dilemma here because it appears that there's two different types of souls. There are dead souls, and then there are living souls. And that's what it says. It said that this Elohim, or whatever it was, using the metaphorical term, breathed into Adam and he became a living soul, implying that he didn't have a soul, but it just wasn't living, or at least into the context of what living is. What is living? How do you define living? What does that exactly mean? You think about it. If he was already operating, because that's the thing that gets real confusing when you look at the two versions. The Six-Day people were one branch of the homogeneous branch, and then this Adam was another. And the weird thing about it was that this whatever it was, you can call it God, you can call it a scientist, whatever, um, but apparently made this golem out of mud. Actually, I think the word is technically ash, which implies that the world had been hit. So this God is apparently good at creating golems, but not really good at protecting planets, because Earth was hit by an asteroid, whatever it is, it burned the planet up because the first 6 day people, they're out of there. Now, the question is, did they have a soul? We don't know how many of them there were because we don't really know how long. What we know is the second one that came in um, was apparently around doing shit before this event of this living soul being imparted into it. So if there are living souls in which we can't define what living is, it's an ambiguous term, much like soul, then clearly there are dead souls. You know, the whole time um, that I was a minister, Lynn and I were both ordained as ministers. Um, and I look back now, and I was telling her last night, this epiphany came in. The thing about Christianity is that you're trained how to win souls. You're not trained to win spirits. In fact, spirits are really kind of a second place in the whole play. I mean, on front and center of the stage in the theater, we have this thing. called soul. But we all have a spirit. And again, the conversion therapy of all religions, all cults, is to win your soul. I almost get this picture, the World Series of Souls, and we're all there. We've collected souls through our time here, and if you're with a particular amalgamation, conglomerate, corporation, small business enterprise, your whole thing is about souls. Well, how many souls did you collect? How many souls did you bring over? And so we're trading them as commodities. Maybe that's what that fucking birth certificate's all about, Because none of us remember you cannot do commerce legally in the corporation of the United States of America. Only dead people can do commerce. So what if those people that we've met on our life trajectory here, and we've met them, they're not like everybody else. Some have a very weird energy. There was one person I was in business with. I look back now and I know that son of a bitch was not human. I mean, he had a freaking body the whole bit, but his soul was not the same as my soul. If we have a soul, you know what I mean. Yeah, but we've all met them. You know, vampires do exist. I mean, they're mentioned in every religion. Um, Metaphysically, we know there is such the thing as, psychic vampires. They feed off of people's negative emotions. You could say that the leading news media outlets, mainstream, are controlled by dead souls, or at the very least, vampires. Vampires meaning in the sense that they feed off others' energies. You've experienced this. I have seen it. I have seen when a certain individual can enter into a room and the energy is impacted immediately. Yeah, yeah. Um, Connie says we have soul food. Listen, this whole idea about living souls, dead souls. Because here's the thing, this group is, we're always on our toes. We're like the midget that goes into the men's room. You're always on your toes. We're alert. And if you think about this whole soul contract thing, so the big thing with the demons that were the offspring of the Nephilim or the fallen angels, right? You got 200 of them that apparently were male, had a penis, and, really, apparently, what I still can't quite figure out is how did they know what sex was? There had to be something that they had a witness to or participated in. You know what I mean? I mean, they just didn't come along in space and say, whoa, look at that. Hmm, like to get some of that. And, they did. And according to the book of Enoch, if you find that legitimate or not, I mean, we've reread a lot of books here and we give it merit for the fact of what the author was channeling. So, according to the book of Enoch, who was one of two human beings that made the transition, and I don't know how that works, but made the transition from mortal to immortality. Because remember, this God, no sin can be in front of it, it burns it up. So I'm not sure how Enoch got away with it or Elijah, but all right, they say they did. We know Elijah was abducted. We know exactly what the spaceship looks like. It's right there in the book. Didn't you ever read the book? But anyway, let me get back to Enoch because he says, well, actually, he says that this God says that, he didn't create them. He said, I didn't have anything to do with those bastards. I don't know if the bitches were in there, but I'm assuming bastards and bitches are all grouped in one group there. But the interesting thing is this soul. Now, the contract with the myth of Adam had to be freaking extensive, man. Think about it. And the violations didn't, I mean, wow. Talk about severe consequence. But anyway, getting back to the soul here, that the thing that these demons hate about us humans, is that we curse them with a soul. And it's always about the soul, never the spirit. So one could draw a particular conclusion that, all right, so what if, just what if, and we're going to get into the contract thing, um, what if we were given these souls? Not all spirit has one, right? But those spirits that do take on a soul, you're in for what ain't going to be easy. As all of us know, it ain't easy. And it appears that there was great time and deliberation, negotiation for us to get these souls. And if you violate the contract that you can't remember, there are severe consequences that will be felt. Wow. Might explain a few things. So I came across this one. Let me see. Y'all just sit there and smoke them if you got them. You know, don't bogart. Um, so this is a hypothetical meeting. And this meeting is you and source. So you're at the table, you may have margaritas going or you may have Mai Tais. I go for the Mai Tai. Um, or you may have some great coffee or whatever. Or you're sitting down with the big guy. And actually, it could be Mama, but in this case, it's Source. All right. So this is a what if conversation, right? So your soul contract, and it reads, what's it like when you create your soul contract before you incarnate into this realm, whether it's your first one or whatever, right? So, are you aware of the many soul contracts you made before you were born? Imagine you are on the other side with Source and you are telling him or her that you would like to come back to this planet. This is what it might be like in that conversation. All right, you ready? This is Source. All right. You're back here again, huh? Okay. So what you got to say now? Why would you like to go back to Earth? I mean, you did very well the last time. You, you answer. The Earth is going to need additional light and energy during the time frame that I have chosen to incarnate. So I would like to volunteer my services to help this planet. Also, there are a few things I didn't accomplish the last time I was there. Source. So far, so good. All right. What would you like to accomplish this time? You. Well, I made a couple of mistakes that hurt a few people in my previous incarnation. So I've made a pre-arrangements to meet with these people back on Earth to atone for the things I did. In one specific instance, we decided that this time around, I would be in the other person's shoe so I could experience how she felt after I hurt her in my last incarnation, while she is going to try to be loving and forgiving of my mistakes. If we can accomplish this, then all karma will be removed. If we cannot accomplish this in my next incarnation, we will both agree to forgive one another to remove the karmatic debt. Now, see, I kind of dig this in one aspect because it establishes that this is not life. It's life to a weird definition, but we were alive before we came to be alive. And apparently, many of us know one another. I mean, I still marvel at the friendships that I have been able to make in this journey here in this digital verse. And the only thing I can conclude is that many of us knew each other before. I'm convinced of that. So then they have a little side note here, and it says, everyone has a completely unique energy signature. Even if someone was born at the same exact hour, minute, and second as you, the location of your birth would make their energy signature different from yours. Even if someone was born at the same hour, minute, and second and was born in a hospital bed next to yours. The few feet difference between beds would create a completely different energy signature. Even twins have completely different energy signatures. Your energy signature is completely unique from everyone else, and that's what makes you you. This person was writing and said, I was born under the sign of Libra in the Northern Hemisphere at 10:19 a.m. Earth time. I chose this specific energy signature because it will give me balance and fair judgment. My parents and I have made arrangements for this to happen in the Earth year of 1983. I will have one brother and one sister whom I've also made arrangements with. So this hypothesis says that we are, in fact, a classification that would be even above a demigod. It would be that we are, in fact, immortals. And immortality is the biggest negative to immortality is boredom. And I could see deities purposely going into an experience, could be an experiment too, that the game, the challenge of the game, and it is a game, the game of life, um, is how much are you going to remember? And how much do you think that you have achieved in the contract with the soul, which allows us to enter into this realm, and how well have we honored it? I like this. This person says, in my last incarnation, I was a struggling housewife during the Great Depression. So this time around, I would like to come back as a male. As a child, I want to learn how to play sports because as an adult, I will need to know the origins of the divide and conquer principles that are on earth so I can help to spread the light and how these principles can be used to our advantage by working together as a team while pursuing a common goal. Well, ain't that special? It's exactly what this group has continues to do. I mean, we're really getting to be good at that. Um, this person said, I have made soul contracts with every person that will be on my sports team along with every competitor. So, extrapolating that idea, we could say that each and every one of us, particularly those of us who are in the community, I mean, everyone in a sense is that's watching this, but you know what I mean. Um, we each have made a contract with one another. And that's really kind of far out when you think about it that, wow. I mean, who knows? We may not have succeeded in everything, but in this aspect, we definitely honored the agreement. And my soul prospers because of it. This person went on to say, uh, my adolescent experience and friends will help to guide me towards my life purpose, as these have also been prearranged. Well, that's where that debate becomes preordained or what? Has everything already been prearranged? Don't know. There has to be a wild card, a joker in the deck, right? This person said, I've also agreed to gratefully experience polarity and duality, although I may sometimes question why I decided to come back here. I will make many mistakes during my journey with the realization that I will spiritually grow from every one of them and will view each obstacle as an opportunity for spiritual evolvement. Through marriage, I will experience heartbreak through divorce and elation through the birth of my three children, all of whom have made arrangements for this to occur before the earth age of 25 years old. Every single person that I encounter will help to catalyze my journey as we have all made arrangements to meet at a specific earth times. In turn, I will also help other people's journey through these connections. Through free will, I may not fulfill all my contracts, just as those who have made contracts with me may not fulfill theirs either. Interesting, isn't it? And I guess the challenge is doing this with amnesia. Yeah, that's like going into a maze and it's completely dark, no light. You're in the maze, just you can't see it. Um, I have selected the specific awakening codes of 1111 and 333 to remind me of my purpose here. When I see these synchronistic numbers, I will know that I am on the right path of my journey, although I may not specifically remember what this journey is to entail. I will require exactly 37 Earth years, 3 Earth months, 7 Earth days, 3 Earth hours, and 37 Earth seconds to accomplish my goals. And at that point, I will return back to you after losing a bout with cancer. While I will predecease my parents, we all have agreed to the terms of my soul contract, as this is also part of the experience that are required for their own personal soul contracts, the feeling of loss, grief, the sadness. My children will be safe with their mother as they begin to fulfill their own soul contracts. My oldest daughter will use my death to inspire her to go to school for medicine. At the moment she turns 37 Earth years, 3 Earth months, 7 Earth days, 3 Earth hours, and 37 Earth seconds old, she will discover a cure for cancer and will dedicate the cure to me. while helping millions of people overcome the cure that was deemed incurable. The number 37 will be one of her awakening codes. That's a pretty detailed contract, isn't it? It's like, wow, I don't know if it's like that. But so getting back to that conversation, right, with Source. So Source comes and says, well, once again, I have and must remind you that you will not be allowed to remember all of your soul contracts that you have made because it wouldn't be challenging or as magical when you meet these people and attain your goals. And you answer back, I know, but I swear this time I'm going to remember. You just wait and see. And Source says, we'll see. So I thought that that was pretty cool, um, in a way of expressing that particular scenario. And it's interesting. If it is indeed that detail, then this is truly a magical place. But it still demands, well, who's got the bigger show going on? I mean, who's the owner? If we're just renting space and time, then who is, the deed owner? So this is a another perspective of a soul contract. Um, in this case, it says soul contracts are agreements made before birth to guide our life experience. Many seek tools like your soul contract and others to find out what is that blueprint. So they define the soul contract as represents an agreement made by your soul before your current lifetime. It outlines a set of experiences, lessons, and relationships designed to facilitate spiritual growth and fulfill a specific purpose. Many individuals feel a deep seated yearning to understand their soul's mission, often seeking answers through resources of certain books. One that they talk about here, Your Soul Contract Decoded, or other material. These contracts are believed to be encoded within your birth name and date, revealing hidden aspects of your life's blueprint. They encompass karmic patterns, inherent talents, specific goals, and your ultimate soul destiny. By decoding these elements, individuals can gain clarity on their life path, break free from limiting cycles, and consciously align with their soul's true purpose. Tools like understanding soul contract calculators and others in numerology or spiritual practitioners can aid in the journey of self discovery. Um, yeah, and this one gets in that your birth date numerology plays a very big role in that as well. So, I don't know. Um, I can only go by my experience. You have yours, and there is no doubt. I was thinking last night, soul contracts. So, when I was just right before I turned 13, I stood up and accepted Jesus as my Savior. And then, from there on out, you get into the initiation, the indoctrination, because every, convert is a neophyte and they have to be trained in how to now to think. And there are many different paths within the construct. I mean, if you look at the bifurcations of the religion itself, yeah, It's fractured. But any case, but you're still into this overall thing. So as I continued in that mindset, I was taught that there were contracts. There's a contract that apparently God has because, the death of Jesus, which is a blood contract, a blood covenant. And you have these covenants. Now, in my Bible studies, I knew that there were 7 different covenants, contracts with this God, whether it is an Elohim or what, not sure. But anyway, so I've been very familiar with contracts, particularly on a spiritual level. Um, every act of worship follows a covenant, a contract outline. I mean, I was into religion where if you gave God 10%, he guaranteed you at least 100-fold return. Now you could get the Isaac blessing, and that's 1,000-fold return. And in order for that contract to work, because these are soul contracts, more than ever before, you can see, and if you're still involved in these contracts, well, you can't be in violation of the contract and continue to think that you're going to make progress. You need to, every contract has an out that can be nullified. But if you do not nullify them and you continue, and even if you change, your beliefs, those contracts are still in effect. Now, the thing that where I was taught, and I had the contract language. I knew exactly where to go in the contract, in the book of law, the law book, and make demand on it. I could go to Malachi 3, 10, and 11. I could go to the book of John 13. There is just a number of places that where I could go and said, see, I'm a tither. Therefore, that gives me a special class, and therefore, I expect and demand that there will be a return back into me in this lifetime. Works. It really does. Uh, Now, you can extrapolate those principles into other things, but the point that I'm getting at, that's a contract. And you begin to say, I know Trina and I, oh, years ago, I think we did in one of a second look, was this whole thing on contracts and how many of us have made contracts. And even I think you can still make them while you're here. In addition to, I guess, this plan that we apparently each decide for our lives. Um, okay, it's as good as a plan as I've heard of any of the others. But yeah, Brian says my contract can be expandable. Yeah. Um, so it gets interesting when you start beginning to look at it. I mean, my marriage, it's a contract. It's a contract between two living beings. And it has both blessings and curses that come into play. And if that holds true, then it kind of holds true in a lot of other areas, doesn't it? And when I was putting this together in my notes here, I kept writing in it and thinking that how much, if there's obstacles in your life, how much has that contributed to a violation of a contract that you've made that you either haven't ended or haven't properly honored? This is deep stuff. I mean, It's like Marlon Brando in The Freshman. This is deep stuff. Um, yeah. And all of us have an exit date. We have an expiration already in the contract. I don't know if that expiration date can be extended or can it be sooner. Not sure. Uh, Particularly this one. I mean, apparently I don't remember, you know. Otherwise, I could give you the exact date. I often say about people that look to hear their future, I said, wouldn't it be more advantageous that if you're going to have a reading that you ask someone, when is the exact moment I'm going to die? Wouldn't that be the most valuable information that you could seek? Because imagine if you knew when your contract expires, what type of motivation would that give you? Because it's true. We all are walking expiration dates. It's just a matter as to when that is. You know, I was talking to a young man that is at the grocery store. He is autistic, but he's very intelligent. I keep telling him that. And he is, I think he's 20, just getting right to 20. And he was saying, it's like he says, I kind of miss high school. And I was talking to him and I said, why don't you look at it like this way? I said, so what is your age? And he told me, and I said, all right, so you've been here about 7,300 and something days. And he looked at me and he said, well, that would make me really old. I said, well, in a sense, maybe. I said, but imagine once you cross a certain milestone, like 15,000 days, 25,000 days, and you could see the gears going off in his head. And he said, you've given me a whole new way of looking at things. So there you go. There's that. Um, I'm just reading some of the comments. See, I love this. Go back and I read the comments. And so predicated upon that, that means all of us, everyone I see in the chat room, Chloe, Bonnie, and Stephanie, and Lauren, and Rick, and KJ, and everybody else. Hey, Gaia, how you doing? Um, that means, and those particularly that we've been together for years now. If that isn't something, I don't know what it is. I mean, because, with social media, you know, there's so many social butterflies, they float over here, they float over there. And, then there's those of us who are, I always like to call us tree planters. We just stay steady. Hey, Robin, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. But, hey, Elderberry, what's up? JK, good to see you as well. So we've obviously have done something. Now, this is interesting because we're figuring out that all of us came from this place. I don't know what it is. I've had dreams, I've had visions, I've had fluid out of body experiences. I have been to places that, wow, in my mind, I get it, but that was as real as this is real. But is that the same for all of us? And what is there like when the spark of consciousness suddenly was? Did all of us suddenly be? And we're all looking at each other going, what do we do next? And so, because eternity, the thing about when people say eternity, that's not forever. Eternity is a limited time, epochs. I mean, if you go beyond time, I love it. It tickles the intellect. Um, just saying. And I love everybody. Hey, skies above, what's up? So I got others. Surprising. Um, so I found an example of some soul contracts. I thought this was interesting. So this is a contract for the acquisition of a soul. Remember when I started this discussion? What if we, I don't know, buy a soul or are awarded a soul? Whatever. But I found this and I thought this was interesting. Contract for the acquisition of a soul. I, the undersigned, hereforth referred to as soul bearer, do hereby relinquish all ownership, rights, privileges, and permissions of my everlasting and eternal soul, hereforth referred to as your soul, to the external prince of darkness, therefore referred to as Satan in exchange for the items listed below, henceforth referred to as the item. Now, I read this and I went, okay, so what's happening here? This gives the idea that the soul is somehow a tangible property and that the person here making this deal, because there is no Satan, but yeah, uh, eternal prince of darkness. Listen, all light comes from darkness. So, of course, but I get the construct. So the soul now is a bargaining property. And it would appear by this that there are deities, entities that collect them. Because apparently, who's ever about to sell their soul um, as a spirit, they can keep on existing, or so it would seem. So I thought this one was interesting. So the regulation. One, the item may include that of an intangible nature, such as love, happiness, world peace, or the death of an enemy. However, may not be anything that would deem this contract null and void, e.g., eternal life, immortality, existing in a time before this contract was signed. So the devil's in the details, right? So this is interesting because we're dealing now with time. And specifically, reference was made to a time before. Is time fluid? Is time evaporated? How does present, past, or future play in that time? And in this one, we're talking about eternal life, immortality. So, is there a difference between eternal life and immortality? I would suggest I think there is. Got to be careful when you start making these kind of things. And it makes me wonder, how detailed did we make these contracts if that's what's happening? Two, if the item is to be something that involves a third party's life, as would be the case in exchanging one's soul for love, both parties' souls become the ownership of Satan. Well, I can already see a flaw in this contract right here because it does makes no involvement with assumption of now it requires two. And that now requires an examination of what the second party knew or did not know before said party was a part of a third party contract. Three, item will be granted in exchange for your soul within 24 hours of signing of this contract. If item is not granted in the allotted time, exchange, and this contract shall become null and void until further notice. Man, that's a clause that'll be challenged. All right, so one item per soul, no refunds, no regenerations. Um, I love it. And go ahead and sign it there, and let's just see what happens. But it's used to levitate the conversation. Um, but on the other hand, we kind of grin at this, but there are those who I have no doubt have done this. Because in a sense, you know, when people make a conversion, and that's what our purpose and our job was each Sunday or each time we came together as a coven, and that's what it is, that we're the soul catchers. And you're surveying the audience. And you have the invocation call, right? And that's the guilt thing. And you can tell, you can see it. But anyway, I digress. Um, it's the same thing that happens. You go down and you make this oral agreement, and your soul is being uh, measured or is in the balance of this thing. Deep stuff, man. I mean, it'll jack with your head, and it really does. And then when you get them into the prayer room, and then you start praying into them, the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Oh man. um, I like this one here. It says that our soul contracts are the agreements we made before birth with our guides, plus whatever other lighted beings to use Matthew's term, needed to have a hand in the process. In the end, it's as if everyone has the script but us, since we forget our soul contract upon birth. And who wouldn't forget? Maybe those that are with cesarean have a little different thing in remembering, but everyone that goes through that birth canal, yeah, that pain will just absolutely wipe your mind clean. Maybe that's what the process does, isn't it? We don't recall its provisions. If we did, our incarnation would lack spontaneity, aliveness, discovery. We'd simply be following a script. When we need to know, various ways are found to let us know what we must do. Says maybe I can mention what happened to me that had me discover what my own contract was. It's interesting. How many of you had something like this? This is in December 2011. I had a lucid dream in which I saw a woman, and immediately upon seeing her, both of us sped towards each other in embrace, and I awoke. Who was that woman? I had to know. And I recalled that a friend, Lynn, had been having readings with a channel named Linda Dillon. Maybe she could help me. I then did one reading with her, and that woman was my twin flame, Anastera. I had to have a second reading, and when I did, Linda said that I'd be interested to know to who wants to speak to me, and it was Archangel Michael. See? And this person went on to say that this Archangel Michael, I guess, would be a spiritual guide. But anyway, let's go because I'm seeing my time. I'm watching my time this time. This is another perspective. This first thing, let's cover a few bases. Within all of us resides an ego. The ego is responsible for our self-esteem or self-importance. It is our sense of identity that has been created through years of social conditioning and trauma. So, could one say that ego would be acquainted or, the soul? I mean, how do you define ego, right? But it's true. Ego defines us as individuals. Makes me wonder, so is ego of the spirit? I mean, is the spirit just suddenly just, completely inoculated from all of this? Doesn't experience emotions? No, I don't believe that. But then again, it's the soul. When we live life as our ego, it blocks us from seeing our true identity, our soul. Living life as the soul self brings you into an alignment with love, peace, and harmony. However, shedding the many layers of armor that our ego placed on top is no simple or easy feat. Can I get a hallelujah on that one? Whether you made the venture my way in hopes of finding answers as a means of discovering your destiny or out of sheer curiosity, one thing is certain. You will look at yourself much more differently by the end. This soul contract is a tool to lead you on a journey of deep remembrance into the discovery of you. Now, what's interesting on this one is that um, and we may get into some of this because this is a contract that you can make now. And I wonder if it would have the same legality in the prior realm. I can't see why it wouldn't. Um, let's just read a couple of these little notes. So, this is important. This contract was created using an intricate numerology technique channeled from the spirit of Moses to a spiritual teacher named Frank Alper, along with my notes from a course I took with one of his own students, David Gahn. David Nahn's book, Your Soul Contract Decoded, was the gateway to my own destiny and the creation of channeling Ashka. I have added to my channeled interpretations and recommendations to provide you with more personalized readings. I was thinking about this as well. So, if we channel a living spirit, can we also channel living souls? Can we channel dead souls? Because I don't believe that a soul is, I don't know, just because it's here and a soul hasn't been coming through. Does this place require a soul? I'm not rightly sure. Um, I like this one. This journey you're about to take will not be everything you want, but it will be everything you've never knew you needed. You're going to learn so much about yourself and who you are on the inside. You're going to grow in ways you never thought possible. You will find peace within your own skin and discover magic in the world all around you. You will meet people who are kindred spirits and who will meet people who are simply not meant for your story. You're going to be so great. Take the first step, even if you're scared, even if you don't think you can. Do it for you. Maybe we might go through this one because this is it's a more detailed study. If you want to go through this one, let me know because I'm watching the time. But yeah, gets really deep. Karma. Let's just see what it says about karma. Step into the fire of self discovery. This fire will not burn you, it will only burn what you are not. Hmm. Okay. Just watching the time here, folks. I got more material than I got time. No time, no time. So I would say from today's conversation that we're all in soul contracts with one another. And I would further say that many relationships have been made here. Many of those who we've made relationships with have passed over. And I think that they're still benefiting from the fact that this group is still together. It's really quite marvelous when you think about it. And we're such an intimate group. We really are. Um, but anyway, I have to go back and read the comments in there because I'm dropping in on the conversation. It's like, well, what does that mean? Well, you had to be here to see it. Preliminal Dead Souls song by the Joy Division 1980. I have to check that out then. Um, Bonnie says, oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. It just makes me so smile. Still got the blushing cheeks. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Bonnie. Much love to you, darling. The living can declare its existence, conscientious objector. There has to be certain benefits legally for being in the living, if that's what this realm is. Because it's very obvious. There's a hell of a lot of spirit, souls, energies wanting to get in on the action. And when we're here, you got people who make deals with energies that can bring wealth, that can bring things to pass. Those things are real. I mean, just to show you what I'm talking about. You know why my prayers were answered more times than the other person in the pews who didn't seem like they got their prayers answered at all? Because I had an advantage over that person. I had a legal contract with this God. And, if he broke the contract, well, then the whole thing begins to fray. It's just one point. So if like Asmodeus, I think we might spend tomorrow on Asmodeus. Um, but my point is, again, if you know something, I mean, how does a person get a break in Hollywood? How does a politician suddenly go from nobody to somebody? Is that just coincidence? I mean, are the gods just playing chess up there and moving the pawns where they want? Do you get promoted to being a rook or a knight, a bishop? I mean, can you make deals with other souls that are on the other side? Can you make a deal with an entity that coexists in a multidimensional dimension that has an understanding of how, for instance, wealth works? Currency. It's a currency. There's powers that are behind those. And so if you can plug into those powers, so you become a conduit in which they say, well, we'll do this for you, but you're going to have to do this. Is that real? I think it is. I know, let me just rephrase that. I know it is. Because it works. How do you think those, televangelists and preachers, how do you think they get those $40 million jets paid in cash? They obviously know a God that you don't know. They obviously know something that most of us don't know. Just saying. How does a politician suddenly have the charisma that normally ordinary other people would pay no attention to her or to him? How does that work? Oh, Dr. Manuel. Wayne, would you say it is simply the internal opinion of the mind that makes magic function? As dumb as the narrative of your faith may be, the what? As dumb as the narrative of your faith might be, it is simply the conviction of your own perspective. No. Well, I happen to think my faith is pretty well perfected, but hey, there's no contest here. But it's all in the mind. Matter is of the mind. Yeah. It's just a matter of what you believe. You've got faith. Faith is that thing that call it part of the energy of here. It's the creative aspect of what you believe. And I don't know what you believe or you don't believe, but you know, I experienced my reality. You experienced yours, I'm sure. Uh, yeah, John, that's interesting with Steve. Yeah, launching the balloons. Yeah, that was some far out stuff. Any way you look at it. Barbara, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I'm a big believer of faith. Um, see, I come from a background that, with faith, all things are possible to those who believe. You know, if you truly believe your words, you can say anything to any obstacle and it will obey your command. Yeah, that's how I see it. I've experienced that way. So anyway, hey Lilith, I don't believe we are given animals to eat. I think the same narcissist that didn't have the yeah, and you think about that, go all the way back to the garden story. So, this God, what does he do? He kills an animal, right? Goat skins, puts them on the male and the female. If that ain't a clue, well, I don't know what is. It's like, right there you go, whoa, okay. He just skinned one of the, we're all animals here. He just skinned it alive. Now he wants me to wear it. Oh, yeah. You just gotta look over at the chick and go, this is going to be really what a journey we're about to get on. Yeah. All right. So faith is in the source, omnipotent, all love and wisdom. I like that. Yeah. It says that without faith, it's impossible to please God. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Boy, if you can't find some deep occult knowledge in that, I'll get you a flashlight. All right. Uh, Brian, you have a great day, everyone. And I don't know if maybe I'll pick up and introduce Asmodeus. He's a wily one. Um, it's like this: if you're going to go play poker with him, you have to get your poop together. Yeah, yeah, that's all I can say. All right, everyone. Hope you've had fun. I have had fun. Happy spring. That's true, Lilith. Happy spring. And so, you know, Mother Goddess, she's bringing forth a change and resurrecting to the new life. The trees are starting to uh, bud out. So, yeah. So, happy spring, everyone. All right. So, let me know. I have faith to please me. Grace, I like that. Yeah. Uh, Loretta says, I've trained my chickens to go up. They're smart. I mean, most people don't think chickens are that bright, but yeah, think about it. They know enough that they're chickens, right? All right, everybody. Until we see each other again. Thank you, Jan. Appreciate it. Deep thoughts. That's all I got to say. Deep thoughts.